I'm Charlotte McLeod with investingnews.com, and here today with me is Jeff Clark, editor of Paydirt Prospector. Thank you so much for being here. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me back, Charlotte. It's always great to be talking with you.
Of course, really good to be back in person, and where I wanted to start. So the last conversation we had, I think a couple of months ago or so, you were about to head off on some travels, doing a site visit. So I thought to check in on how that went.
Yes, I did go to Colombia, South America, to look at a silver project that ended up being something that I was very happy that I went. It's Outcrop Silver, for those who are curious. It was a wonderful visit. It's a beautiful country. The people are so friendly. But what I found out about the company was really more than I expected. Just how involved they are with the community, the progress they're making, the trends they're drilling on, and how long they are. The next set of trends that they can explore. There's a lot they can do down there. I recommended the stock in Paydirt Prospector, and I own it myself, so I'm a believer in the company. But it was a wonderful trip. For those who are interested, they can actually read my site visit report in Paydirt Prospector, and there's tons of pictures and everything in there. You really get a good feel for what it's like to be there.
Okay, really interesting. That'd be great to check out. So I hear many of the same comments from other people who go on these site visits. They always seem to find it very valuable. So I was going to ask for you, how big of a part of the due diligence process is it for you?
It is a big part. I don't necessarily view it as a requirement in every case, depending on the circumstances and all that, but I try to go as much as I can. I did have a little interruption. We all had an interruption because of COVID, and I had an interruption because of back surgery. But I try to go as much as I can because they really are invaluable. You get to see the projects firsthand. You get to look the CEO in the eye. You're not doing something on Zoom. You're not just looking at a presentation. So they really are valuable, and so I try to go as much as I can. And I've been on a lot.
Right, and you mentioned you got some good green flags from this particular visit. Are there red flags that you would look for when you go on such a trip?
You know what, I wouldn't go on a trip unless I was already very serious about, investing in the company or recommending the company. So by the time I'm going on a trip, I pretty much know, what how I feel about that company, what I might want to recommend. But that trip is there to confirm some details, look at the site. I've been on trips where I showed up, and I'll leave it nameless, the company nameless, but I showed up and we had to get a military escort with, soldiers carrying AK-47s because of the danger in the area. Well, that's not necessarily something you would read in a corporate presentation or on the website, maybe even not hear that from the CEO. But it's that kind of thing that you're looking for to make sure there's no fatal flaw, or there's something even better. Sometimes you get there and you're surprised. That's what I found with Outcrop Silver. I was surprised at some of the things that I found there. So I think the trip is really good, but I'm probably not going to go unless I already feel pretty good about the company.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear how you use that kind of for confirmation. Okay, very useful. So that was kind of where we left you at our last conversation. And also during that talk, we talked about how the fuse had been lit for junior miners, but we needed to see this trickle down effect starting from the producers. So where are we at there? Do you think we're waiting for those Q2 results from the miners? Could that be something that kicks off?
That's what I'm looking for, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not the only one looking for that. A lot of other analysts are talking about that. But Q2 results from producing companies will be reported in Q3, probably in August sometime. And the reason that's significant is because the gold price was averaging $1,900 an ounce Q1 and before that. Now it's averaging $2,300 an ounce. That's $400 per ounce of gold that goes right to the bottom line. So we should see some pretty good green on the screen, right, for Q2 results here coming up in August. And if we do, I think that could attract some Wall Street, Main Street, some generalist investors into the sector, which could really kickstart things rolling. Of course, the higher gold price will help as well. But I think the countdown has begun, because when we see that, then we know we're a year or less away from money trickling down into the juniors, and things could get really exciting then for those of us who invest in juniors.
Okay. So we'll wait for those Q2 results, see how the producers do, and then we're on that countdown for the juniors. As we wait, what is the health for you of the juniors right now? How would you characterize that? Their health. As a group.
Well, as a group, that's tough, because some companies are doing really well, right? Some companies are able to raise money, and not just $1 million, but $5, $10, $15 million some of these companies are able to raise. So I think the better companies, the cream is rising to the top, the better companies are getting more of the money. And those that are weak are not able to raise, or they're not able to raise enough, or they're only raising perhaps to keep the lights on. They're not really advancing their projects. So there's really a bifurcation right now between a high quality junior company that's aggressively able to move forward in this environment versus the companies that are not. And of course, we as investors want to gravitate to those companies that are the strongest.
Okay, so it's a bit unfair of me to put them in a group. Okay, so I'll try to not do that. So for a lot of the juniors, it's summer right now. This is the time when they go out and they do a lot of their drilling. So I'm wondering, are there any campaigns that you are watching with particular interest right now?
Specific companies, you mean, that are drilling?
Or areas, however you want to approach that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in areas, well, obviously Quebec, Nevada, BC, I'm focused a lot in those areas. Those are pro-mining jurisdictions. A lot of the top quality companies are working in those areas and are able to raise and are able to advance their projects. So those are areas that I'm definitely watching right now.
And I'm going a little bit on the educational due diligence side right now. So any tips for investors on interpreting drill results? I think that can be quite tricky.
Well, you want to look for something that is just like my grandma's chocolate chip cookies, right? Big and rich. So you want something that's got a nice wide intercept to it with high grade. So you want to look for things that are at least a gram gold, hopefully over long widths, whether that's 50 meters, 100 meters, whatever the case might be. And for silver, there's enough high quality companies out there that really I'm kind of disappointed if they don't report bonanza grade intercepts anymore, because there's some really good drill results out there. So those are kind of the things that I'm looking for. Big and rich doesn't always define it though. It has to be economic ore, right? So you can have something that's below a gram on a head grade, and it can actually be very economic and very profitable. There's some mines with Kinross that come to mind that are like that. They're actually low grade, but they're very economic, and they can be even more economic than a higher grade mine. So it all comes down to economics.
Okay, good to go into that. And I know that you really like to look at data, you like to look at trends and put them together into things we can learn. This is an election year, quickly approaching election in the US. And yes. I wondered if you have done any data analysis on things that investors maybe should know in this type of year.
Well, geopolitics, when there's turmoil in geopolitics, gold does rise. We know this from history. The catch, though, is that it usually doesn't hold it. When the geopolitical concern or fear dies down, then gold tends to ease off. Now, of course, that's not the only reason we would invest in gold, but if there's some kind of turmoil around the US election coming up this fall, it would not be surprising at all to see gold rise. It would also not be surprising to see it pull back once that tension eases up. But of course, that's not really the reason to own gold. That is just something that gold will react to, like it does with many things.
And so we look, as it stands, at least at this moment, it looks like we will have either Trump or Biden. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
But we've had experience with both of them as president.
Good point. Right.
So I wanted to ask, who do you think would be better for the mining sector, not for gold, but for the mining sector in the U.S.?
Well, I think that's pretty clear. That would be Trump. And it's not a political statement, but I'm just saying he would probably be more pro-mining and, pro-independence in terms of the U.S. and and he'd probably include Canada in that, quite frankly. So I think he would probably be better in that standpoint. Environmentally, that would be Biden or whoever might be on the Democratic side. So it depends on what you're looking for, but in terms of the junior sector, specifically in the U.S., it's probably going to be Trump.
Okay, and thank you for bringing the juniors into there specifically. That's always good. Okay, so we have to touch on gold as well. And I know you have 2,500 in mind as the next target. Definitely, it seems like that's in reach, although summer can be a slower time. So are we due now for some consolidation?
I think we're seeing that now.
Yeah.
You know, I've measured all the corrections in gold before, and you know, I think our biggest correction so far from gold's peak at 2,400, right around in there, is only about 4%, and the average is more like 8%, 10%. You know, depending on what time frame you're looking at. So it wouldn't be unusual to see gold even drop a little bit further. This is very normal, though. What's happening right now, the consolidation, it happens with, and it's not just gold. It's all metals, it's all sectors, it's even, you know, the general stock market. It's very common when you have a breakout to consolidate and then go on. The exciting thing for us is this consolidation, this little pullback, gives a window of opportunity to investors who maybe don't have every stock they want, or as many shares in a stock they want, or don't own enough gold as they maybe want, or silver. So you have to use these consolidations to your advantage, and that's what we have right now.
Okay, so opportunities are out there, and now I have maybe a fun question, or at least I'm interested to hear about this. So you're on social media quite often, you're doing a lot of stuff online. What kinds of questions are you getting from your subscribers? What do they want to know right now, or what are they concerned about?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, you know, some want to know, you know, how high gold is going to go this year. Some want to know how long this consolidation could last. Is it actually going to happen? That I'm very confident about. The answer there is yes. I think this is really just a typical pullback in a bull market. I think it is a new bull market. But I think probably the biggest thing is the status of the junior market. It's still depressed, even though we have gold between $2,300 and $2,400 an ounce. When is this going to happen? Is it possible it doesn't happen this time? You know, I do think money's going to trickle down into the junior market because it always has in the past, and I always use history as a guide, and it's never not happened. There's been periods where it's been very dormant, very depressed. We've been through that. We have a breakout in gold. We have a consolidation. The next move in gold, the next major move in gold is probably up, and this is probably going to last, you know, not months but years.
Okay, and another hopefully fun question, which I probably should have led with this, but I was too excited about the site visit. So we're here at the Rural Symposium, and we're just at the end of day 2, and I'm wondering, what is the most interesting thing you've learned here, or interesting theme that you've heard?
Oh, that's another good question. I would say, you know, I really do like this conference in that there's a lot of high net worth investors here. They ask very good questions. There's some very strong companies here. It's an invite only, so you can't just pay a fee and come as a company. You have to be invited by Rick or be owned by Rick. So, you know, there's some screening that's already been done there. So I think the mood this year is better than it was last year. And again, these are admittedly mostly junior companies here. But I think the mood that I'm sensing from not just companies but from attendees is stronger this year. And I think I don't think they're wrong. I think, you know, I'm feeling that way myself, and I think we're getting closer to a true breakout in the gold market. You know, it'll be interesting to ask this question next year and see where we are in the junior market next year. I think we'll all be a lot happier.
Okay, I'm going to remember that. Okay, this has been really good to go through some of the things we've been following for a while. Any final thoughts that you would leave investors with right now?
Well, we always talk about M&A in the junior resource sectors. We've had a little M&A in the newsletter sector. As you might have known, I did buy Gwen Preston's business, so I'm excited about that. So we welcome all of her members over. But you know, my goal is I am bound and determined to make money in this environment. I've been through cycles before. in this industry, I've lost money and I've made money. And this time around, I'm going to maximize whatever I can do to make as much as I possibly can and participate in a wealth cycle, if you want to call it that. So I think that opportunity is before us, and I am bound and determined to take maximum advantage of it.
Okay, what a great place to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming to talk today. Great to have you.
Great to be back. Thank you, Charlotte.
Of course, and once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with investingnews.com, and this is Jeff Clark with Paydirt Prospector. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd also love to hear your thoughts, so leave us a comment below.